We have learned about these things. Okay, and now we'll try to learn what are the technologies which are available for each one. Okay,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
so just 1 minute. I'll open the next one. Okay, so now we have different technologies, and these different technologies are now known as sequence generation technologies. Okay, and in broad they're known as next generation sequencing technologies, or in short it's known as NGS technologies. NGS technologies mean next generation sequencing technologies which are available for sequencing DNA. Okay, so before getting into high throughput genome sequencing, we should understand what are the next generation sequencing technologies which are available for us. Okay, so the contents for this is nothing but introduction, object for the session of lecture, or next generation sequencing technologies used for generation of NGS data, and there are five. Okay, first generation sequencing technologies, second generation sequencing technologies, third generation sequencing technologies, fourth generation sequencing technologies, and fifth one. Okay, so there are five different sequencing technologies which are available for us. First, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and some. So these are the contents. Okay, so what you have to understand is the whole genome sequencing or DNA sequencing technologies are classified into five different things. Generation. So based on the generation, we have five different generations for sequencing the DNA. Okay, so the object of today's session is to discuss in detail about different next generation sequencing technologies. Okay, so coming here, the first generation sequencing technologies are nothing but Sanger DNA sequencing technology and Maxwell Gilbert DNA sequencing technology. Of that, Sanger we have discussed just now, and we'll see whatever points we have missed next. Okay, and second generation technologies, Roche 454 sequencing, Iron Torrent sequencing, Illumina Solexa sequencing, and ABI solid sequencing. In this 454 sequencing is the technology which was predominant for 40 years, which is based on Sanger's method. Okay, so these four come under second generation sequencing technologies. And we have a third one, third generation sequencing technologies, which is known as single molecule real-time sequencing approach. Okay, in short, they're known as SMRT. Then Oxford Nanopore Technology ONT. Now this Oxford Nanopore technology has improved a lot, and the same nanopore technology is also present in fourth generation and also in fifth generation. Okay, so these are the three generations what we've seen. Now see here the fourth generation, an improvement of the nanopore sequencing, which is known as biological nanopore sequencing approach, solid state nanopore sequencing approach. There are two technologies which are available in fourth generation. And in fifth generation, again, a nanopore has been developed, and it is called as high fidelity nanopore sequencing of ultra short DNA targets and ultra sensitive nanopore sequencing of cell-free tumor DNA. Okay, so these are the five different genome or DNA sequencing technologies which are available till date. Till date means still this year. Okay, so the updated version is of all the five generations is this. Okay, so we know that the first generation sequencing technologies are there, and what are the first generation sequencing technologies? They're nothing but Sanger sequencing or the chain termination method or maximum Gilbert sequencing method. Okay, so these are the two. I think we have learned a lot about Sanger sequencing. So we have seen all this thing in Sanger's method. Okay, so what we do is we have all these five ingredients: polymerase enzyme, primer, DNA nucleotides, template. Okay, and then we use DDNTP. Okay, so we know what is the difference between DDNTP and DNTP and how it terminates the chain. And now how we are going to run the gel and how we are going to derive it. Okay, so this is all what we have learned in the previous session. Okay, and in this we have learned how to derive the sequence, and we have seen how the DNA sequence has improved from manual to automated, and how we are getting the DNA sequence here. Okay, you have seen what are the uses and limitations. Okay, now we'll see what is Maxwell-Gilbert method of DNA sequence. Okay, previous one is actually a method which is based on chain termination, and this method is actually based on chemical degradation. Okay, this is based on chemical degradation. So chemical degradation is nothing but Alan Maxim and Walter Gilbert. On that method, Alan Maxim and Walter Gilbert, and they developed this in 1976 to 1977. So we know that this is the sequence what we have. It's a double-stranded DNA, and we don't know what is the sequence. Okay. So what we do is, the first step here is, as the sequence of both the strands are unknown, but we find out the sequence of one strand, we can also get the sequence of the other one. Okay. So the logic here is this: if we know the sequence of one strand, we can also know the sequence of the other strand. So for that, what we have to do? At first, the double-stranded fragment is separated into two single strands by applying high temperature or pH. We know that when DNA is subjected to high temperature or high pH, they get denatured, isn't it? This is what we have learned with the DNA when it is exposed to high temperatures or high pHs. This principle is applied. So we either temperature or either saline, that is NaOH. Okay, so sodium hydroxide. Okay, so when we subject it to this, we can see here there are two different strands which are there. Okay, two different strands which are here obtained. Now, what we are going to do in the second step? So, run the single-stranded fragments on the gel. Okay, so the lighter fragment band will move further than the heavier fragment. And how will we know which one is a lighter band? Okay, so the thing is, the band which is having the larger number of purines would be heavier. The thing is, the band which is having the larger number of purines would be heavier. This is the step what we do. So first we treat it with temperature and pH or temperature. Then we have got double strands. Then we ran on a gel. Okay, so when you ran on the gel, you can see here. I said when there are more purines, it's heavier. Okay. So having large number of purines would be heavier. So more number of purines, band is heavier, it moves slow. Less number of purines, it is more fast. Okay. So this is what we have. We can do while running on a gel. So this is the second step what we do in the method. Now the third step. So what we do is we'll take one of the fragment band from the gel. Okay, we take one fragment, then we remove the phosphate. We remove the phosphate. Okay, so once we remove the phosphate, and that too enzymatically. Okay, and incorporate radioactive phosphate, that is enzymatically here. So this is the radioactive phosphate. So in step 1, we have treated with temperature of pH. Step 2, we have run on the gel. We have identified which one is heavier and which one is light band. And step 3, we remove the phosphate band and incorporate the right radioactive phosphate band. Okay. Now what we are doing? Now we'll take them into 4 different tubes that same one. So the same DNA will be added to 4 different tubes. A, B, C, D. 4 different. Okay. Now the 5th step is chemical degradation. Okay. 5th step is chemical degradation. So what we do? So carefully see here, we have A tube, B tube, C tube, and D tube. So in A tube, increase the temperature by adding NaOH that could cause fragments to break down. Then dimethyl sulfate will be added that could make cuts at adenine and guanosine positions. So this is what happens in tube A. Increase the temperature and put by adding NaOH. Okay, that could cause fragments to break down, that we have already seen. And now dimethyl sulfate will be added that could make cuts at adenine and guanosine positions. So this is what we are trying to do in tube A. Now move to tube B. In tube B, again we'll add dimethyl sulfate and dilute HCl. Okay, and this will make cuts at only adenine positions. So here you can see adenine is common, and here it's only adenine. Tube C. Okay. Now here reagents hydrazine and piperine are added. That cuts the fragment at cytosine and thymine. Okay. So hydrazine and piperine are added, and that makes the position cuts at cytosine and thymine. Now take tube D. In this you only add, okay, we add hydrazine, piperine, and NaCl. And this, what happens with this is only cytosine positions are cut. Okay, so we have 4 different tubes and 4 different chemical reactions which occur, and these 4 chemical reactions will give 4 different chemical degradations. So you can see here in tube A, it is adenine and guanosine cuts. Tube B, it is adenine. Tube C, it is cytosine and thymine, and tube D, it is cytosine. Okay, then you can see here. So tube A plus G, tube B, A only, tube C, D plus C, tube D, only C. Okay. Now after the cuts are made in each tubes, then what we have to do is we have to label them with radioactive material. Okay, radioactive material. So when you label them with the radioactive material, that can be easily detected on a auto radiogram. So tube A and tube B, you can see here is the difference. Then after this again, like the Sanger's method, 4 different lanes for 4 different tubes. Okay, 4 different lanes for 4 different tubes. So all of the fragments from each tubes are poured into gel. 4 wells will be made on gel. First well fragments from first tube is poured. Then second well fragments from second tubes, and so on. And in third, fragments from third tube, and so on. And fourth, fragments from fourth tube, and so on. Then when we subject it to DNA electrophoresis, fragments would separate in gel according to the size. The smaller fragments would move farther, than the larger fragments. So after placing this film, so once the gel is run, we take this gel and expose it to an X-ray. So when you expose it to X-ray, you get a radioactive autoradiogram or a radioactive gel. Okay, so that will actually give emit a spot at the position on the autoradiogram, and this is how we get a gel. So can you see here now?
Yes, sir.
Tube 1, tube 2, tube 3, and tube 4. So the same way again. So you can see here, the last one is C. Okay. So these are C lanes. These are T plus C. That means when C is there here, that means this is T. These two are T, this one is T. Okay. So based on this, again, we can do here. So C, sorry, it is not. Orange it is A, then green it is G. Okay, then so see here, it is A, it is present in two lanes, so it should be A. And coming here, it is present only in one, it is not present other. So in C it is not present, and it is present in both T plus C. So this should be T. So A, T. And this is also T in the same logic. And this is G. Okay, as it is present only in A plus C and not present in A, it is G. In the same way, it is present in both, so it is C here. Okay, and this is actually G here, and then this is T, and same way this is A. Okay, and this is how we try to derive the sequence using it. So after we have the gel, and this is how we try to derive. So you can see here A, T, T, G, C, C, G, T, A. Okay, so you can see here, this is a fragment which was selected, and this is the sequence what we got. Okay, so this is how Maxwell-Gilbert method had used to determine the sequence from the gel. Okay, and now we are able to do this. Now, what are the advantages? You should have a highly purified DNA, and it should not be a homopolymeric sequence. Used sequence should be heterogeneous and not a homopolymeric. Okay, and used to analyze DNA protein interactions, and used to analyze epigenetic modification and nucleic acid structure. These are the advantages, and these are the disadvantages. We are using chemicals here. They can be toxic. We are using radioactive isotopes. They can also be toxic, and they are highly poisonous and unstable. Okay, and the larger limitation here is Sanger's method is 500, 600 base pairs is the advantage, but here this is only maximum to 500 base pairs, and this is very quite complex. Okay, it's not that easy to remember this methodology. It's quite complex. Okay, and kit preparation is also a difficult task. That's the major problem of the face, because due to radioactive material. Okay, and read size decrease with incomplete cleavage reactions. So if there is an incomplete cleavage reactions, then read size decreases. Okay, so this is about the first generation technology. Okay, so these two methods, technologies, DNA sequencing methods, are Sanger's DNA sequencing and Maxwell-Gilbert sequencing, which were based on running on a gel and reading it from the gel, the sequence with the limit of 400 and 600 base pairs. They started, these were the first generation, okay, or we can say the first methods which were developed, technologies which were developed to sequence the DNA. Okay, from that, these sequencing methods are actually gave a way or a path to develop the next technologies, which are known as the next generation sequencing technologies. Actually, the first first generation technologies are just simple methods, but the second generation technologies are entirely different and complex. Okay, and entirely different and complex. So now we have seen what are the first generation sequencing technologies. In the next class, we'll see what are the second generation sequencing technologies which are available. Okay. So is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
What is
sir.
the DNA sequencing method technique? I mean Sanger's DNA sequencing, and
Yes, sir.
what is Maxwell Gilbert DNA sequencing? Okay. Okay, so there will be an assignment given to you on both Sanger's and Maxwell Gilbert, and you have to submit your DNA sequences within 1 week. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then the next class will meet. Okay, and they'll continue with the second generation sequencing technologies in the next class. Okay, then bye. Thank you and have a nice day.